Hey everybody, I finally finished one of my modifications to the Mid-Tower Deluxe. This new side panel I made myself. I originally started on it last year sometime, I'd say about June or July 2009. I just happened to find an older beige mid-tower case that had the same exact kind of side panels that this case here takes. And I took this side panel and in the garage without nothing more than a Dremel and a pair of metal cutters. Cut out a big square for a window, and then went to Lowe's and got some plexiglass to make the window for the side. After several failed attempts and after going through several pieces of plexiglass, I eventually just gave it up last year. I'd say August or sometime. And I just happened to be rearranging my bedroom, cleaning stuff out, and I just happened to come across a piece of plexiglass. And see, I already had it marked and everything, as I was waiting to get a hole saw to cut out a 4 1/4 inch hole, or 120mm hole for this 120mm fan. Which I didn't have a hole cutter, so I finally decided to give it one more try with a simple knife that was designed to cut plexiglass. And I finally got the hole cut without damaging the plexiglass, without causing any major cracks, that kind of stuff. And I was finally able to put this side panel together. Went out and sanded it down a bit and repainted it again to give it a better silver look. And I finally installed it to the case. When it comes to computer cases, I like to have ones that have huge windows on the side. Typically what you find on the tall tower cases. And I like to have ones that have an intake fan right at the motherboard where the CPU and expansion cards are at. The original side panel on this case had a small 80mm fan in the center with an X theme. So the window wasn't very big, you couldn't really get a large view inside the computer. And finally I had this side panel done. This is exactly how I like it. It's not the best because of course I made it in my own garage. My own backyard more or less. No high-end machinery, nothing like that. Just nothing more than a Dremel, a vise, a couple of knives, and a can of metallic spray paint. Get a closer look here. There's a 120mm fan. I kind of like having this fan here, a standard black fan, because of course this is in my bedroom. So every night I cut this front light out and cut these cathodes off. Used to be I had a green fan here that was really bright, and I always had to put this board up in front of my bed to stop the brightness. Which now I cut off the displays. As you see, there's barely any light produced at all. Just one fan in the back and the fan in the power supply produces light. Though I can cut this light back on at the front of the case. And cut the cathodes back on. It's bright again. I've also seen very good cooling improvements on the case itself. It is quite warm in here, about 80 degrees or so. Used to be, I would have temps of like, I don't know, let's say, this little green one here, it says 35, not sure if you can see it or not. At times, it would get all the way up to like 40 degrees, that's the motherboard temperature. It always get up to 40 degrees, and I'd have to have this rear 120mm fan on its highest setting as a 3-speed fan. But now, the inside temperature is 35 at the motherboard. And this is with the rear fan set on the lowest possible speed. You can actually kind of see the fan spinning. It's spinning quite slow, which it runs much quieter. You can kind of hear a hum from this fan, but that's fine with me. It's a slow running 120mm fan. It's running on 12 volts. Take a look here at the temperature displays right here. Used to be, these two numbers will be usually around the same. The CPU would probably be a degree higher, something like that. The CPU is on the left, and the right is a hard drive sensor. I have two 80mm fans blowing across the hard drive running at 5 volts. So they're not putting out really much air, they're just putting enough air to keep the hard drives at a decent temperature. And you see this sensor here, this lead is hooked to one of the heat pipes on the heat pipe cooler, and it's at 32 degrees Celsius. And the CPU itself, it's running at 33 degrees Celsius. Our graphics card has also come down a few degrees as well. This would probably be around, I'd say, 46, something like that. Now it's like at 43, 44, kind of idle. Take a look at the chipset temperature, the MCP. It's at 44 degrees Celsius, which that's with the little Pentium 3 fan blowing on the heatsink. Which I have seen quite a bit of cooling improvements out of this. Just say this is a custom setup. This side panel I've done it completely myself, so it's not 100% perfect like you would typically find in a brand new computer case, but I think it's a big improvement to Mid-Tower Deluxe. Any questions, let me know.